Hello everybody, I am Sister Slayage and welcome to my channel. If you have seen the descriptions, the thumbnails, and the titles, you will see that in my opinion, the James Charles palette, this one here, reigns supreme in my book. And if you want to know why, stick around and I will explain to you why this eyeshadow palette is going to reign supreme in 2018 and continue to do so in the future, and why it's worth your coins. So stay tuned, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let's get into this top 10 countdown. Know what I'm talking about? Before we get into this review, if you want to understand how I judge what determines a good eyeshadow palette for everyday use, go to my video on how to pick an eyeshadow palette. In that video, I go over the LOVE acronym, and I developed that acronym to help the everyday woman pick out an eyeshadow palette that would be perfect for her. So if you have any questions, I will always recommend you go back and check that video out first before going into this review. The first reason why the James Charles palette reigns supreme over other eyeshadow palettes is because of the value. And when I say value, I mean the price point. And when we go into the palette, you see we have 39 eyeshadows here, and the cost point of the palette is about $39, $40. So that's just right above $1 per eyeshadow, which I think is a very good value proposition, considering the fact that these little wells here are pretty large for an eyeshadow. You get the same amount of product as you would a full-size MAC eyeshadow, and then these colors in the middle are about the size of your average blush from any other brand. So you're getting a lot of product for under $40. So the first reason why this palette reigns supreme is because it is very cost efficient for the everyday woman. The second reason why this eyeshadow palette will continue to reign supreme is because it is extremely organized. And when I say organized, I mean you can move from one end of this palette to the next, and you can easily come up with an eyeshadow look. You can even break them down into quadrants of 4, and you can come up with a monochromatic theme with this eyeshadow palette. So it's perfect for the everyday woman who's on the go, who may not have an hour or two to dedicate to her makeup routine. The third reason why this eyeshadow palette reigns supreme is because of the ease of everyday use. And when I say ease of everyday use, I kind of piggybacked. I'm kind of going to repeat what I said in number 2, but again, it can be broken down into quadrants of 4. So if you just want something very simple, you can easily just imagine that these other eyeshadows do not exist, and you have a eyeshadow palette right there. So you can break them down into 4 small eyeshadow palettes. And you can also, more than likely, because most Morphe eye palettes you can depot, and as an artist I travel a lot and I don't like to have big bulky palettes, so more than likely I'm going to depot this to make it easier to use. So if you want to buy this palette, and let's say you want to make like little small gifts for some women who may not have as much patience and just want something easy to use, break these down into little small quadrants of 4, and it's going to be easy for them to come up with an eyeshadow look and be gone at the door, boo sugar. Is pigmentation. Oftentimes we find that if we pay a lower cost point for an eyeshadow palette, we have to sacrifice the pigmentation of the product. But in this particular case, these eyeshadows are extremely pigmented, and this is just showing up on my skin, and this is just with one swipe. And a lot of times we also have to remember that just because the eyeshadow performs well on your arm or on the back of your hand doesn't mean that it's going to do well on your eye. So this product is extremely pigmented, and even on my skin is darker, and the colors are very true to color. So when it comes to pigmentation, this palette reigns supreme. Number 5, this palette is extremely versatile. And when I say versatile, I mean versatile enough to do every look imaginable, and you can do everything on your face with this one palette. You want to know how I know? Look at my video linked at the top, and in that video I did a full face using only this eyeshadow palette. When I say full face, I mean foundation, lip, eyeshadow, eyebrows, even turned the black one into some mascara, and I wasn't really disappointed with the results. So what you want to look for with the eyeshadow palette, you want to make sure that it's versatile. These colors here, these can be used as blushes. This could be used as a setting powder. Even this could be used as a setting powder and a highlight. These could be used as highlights. These could be used as contour colors. So you can literally take just this eyeshadow palette and do your whole face with it. So this palette is extremely versatile and it really challenges the artist within. Number 6, this palette caters to both consumers and makeup artists. I am both. I'm a consumer first and a makeup artist second. And I'll tell you why it caters to the makeup artist in me and the consumer in me. The reason why it caters to the consumer in me is because the average person usually has their own favorite colors that they like to work with. The average woman is usually going to be kind of biased. You have some women who are not really big on color, then you have some who are. So it caters to everybody. If you like color, you'll have a field day with this eyeshadow palette. If you like to stay neutral, you can really stay at the top of this palette and get all of your makeup needs met, okay? So the second part of it is the artist in me. And as an artist, when I look at this palette, and I am probably gonna offend some brands, I hope not, but this palette is a breath of fresh air to the market, because this palette has every single color in the primary color wheel in its purest form, where you have a pure yellow, a pure red, a pure orange, a pure blue, a pure blue-green, a pure purple. It has every color in the color wheel. Now there are 2 other palettes. I'm not saying that I know about all of them, but the only other 2 eye palettes that I have seen in my career that meets the color wheel and it has everything in there that you need are the NYX Ultimate palette and the BH Cosmetics palette, Take Me to Brazil. But they're much smaller. But I like this palette better because you have way more product. And in that color wheel, what makes it important is because if you have the color wheel, you can create any color. It's a broad spectrum. It's just like, you know, when I was in kindergarten, I had 8 crayons. The other kids had like 48 crayons. And I think that's where the makeup artist in me was born. Because with my 8 crayons, I created more looks and artistry on paper with my 8 crayons than I did with 48. Seriously. Because it teaches you how to understand color and how to mix color. So this, I don't know if it was by design or if it was by mistake, but James Charles did an excellent job with making sure that every color in the primary color wheel is in this palette. Number 6, this palette is very durable. As an artist and as a consumer, I am not a fan of the cardboard packaging. I usually think cardboard packaging is very cheap, and I also think that there's not a lot of thought put into cardboard packaging. Although it does help with the cost point of the palette, because if this palette was made with any other material such as plastic or metal, this probably would have easily been maybe a $50 or $60 palette. So I do appreciate them trying to make sure that they can cater to consumers by keeping the cost point low using cardboard, and the design of it is extremely nice. This palette has been dropped. I've personally dropped my palette several times since I've had it, and I've been traveling with this palette. So it's been in the back of cars, it's been in suitcases, all types of things. And it has experienced just a little damage, but minimal. The corners have been dented a little bit, which is kind of why I don't like cardboard. But for it to be a cardboard package, the palette is really holding up. As you can see, there is, of course, it's got like little powder sprayed out all over here. But as you can see, none of my eyeshadows have been damaged. I've even accidentally had it under 2 heavy bags, and none of these have been cracked, y'all. And so I can honestly attest that this palette is very durable. Number 8, some of you may or may not agree with me, but availability. It is so frustrating finding an eyeshadow palette that you like, or you hear about the hype of a new eyeshadow palette and they're sold out forever. But one thing I do like about Morphe, it's a big enough company to where they can continue to restock their products. So this is a palette that is going to be easy to get your hands on. It's not going to be one of those holy grail sought after palettes where, you know, if they sell out of them, you have to go on eBay and buy one for $5 million. This palette is readily available, and that makes it both friendly for consumers and artists alike. Number 9, we're almost done with this 10 reasons why this palette reigns supreme. Number 9, it is a personal one, very touchy type of subject. Number 9, this one to me is probably one of the most important reasons why this palette reigns supreme. It caters to all skin tones. Yes, I said it and I'll say it again. It caters to all skin tones. And this is kind of a touchy subject for me because I am a African American makeup artist and an African American consumer. And as I continue to grow my channel, I plan on not changing my race, but I plan on being a African American influencer. And it is very frustrating to continuously run across products such as foundations, concealers, eyeshadow palettes, and lip colors that do not offer a broad spectrum or a broad array of skin tones for everybody. It is 2018 and it's alarming how many times we, and not just African American women, women of color in general, of how we run into products that everybody's raving about, something that we would love to have and we would love to purchase, but it doesn't cater to us. And it's also frustrating because I also have clients who are albino women and colors don't look good on them, or fair tone Caucasian women, and a lot of things don't cater to them. But in this particular palette, there is something for everybody, and that's what I love about it. The nudes can work for anyone. So if you have more of a fairer skin tone, you can play over here in the nudes on this side. If you have a deeper skin tone, you can play over here and still get your neutrals. And that's the beauty of this palette, and that is why I feel that it's going to continue to reign supreme. Everybody's not going to agree with me, and I don't care. My opinion is not bought by anyone. I bought this palette with my own money, so I have no reason to give you a biased opinion. This is just from my experience of working in makeup for over 10 years and also being a collector and consumer of makeup. So they've done a great job with making sure this palette caters to all skin tones. Good job, Mr. Charles. Finally, number 10. I am so glad that you are still here for my little final countdown. Oh Lord, I need to get this together. I really do. So the final one is the longevity when it comes to how this palette wears. It's long wearing and long lasting, and I'm loving it. I have oily eyelids. I have to use primers religiously. I literally have to powder down my eyelids to make sure it stays in place. And when I wear this palette, I don't have any smudging, any bleeding from one end to the next. For it to be a palette with a lot of pigments that's really buttery, it manages to stay in place, and it passed my wear test, and it lasts all day long because I have 3 jobs. I do not have time to touch up an eyeshadow every day, every hour. I gotta touch up an eyeshadow. I don't have time for that shit. I don't know who does. But this palette here is long wearing and long lasting. which makes it continue to reign supreme in my book. So tell me, what do you think? Have you tried this palette? Are you going to buy it this Christmas? Do you have it on your wish list? If not, you may want to reconsider, because this is a wonderful palette. It caters to everyone, and I promise you, I have bought this palette and I do not regret purchasing it. My opinion has not been bought. This is just an opinion from an artist and a consumer. And for those of you who have not joined the family, please do like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you like videos like this and if you would like to see more videos like this. Because of all the places you could have been, you decided to be with me, and I appreciate that. So if you feel I'm deserving of any likes or subscriptions, please join the family. I would love to have you, and have a wonderful day. Bye.